Heritage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Taiwan chipmaker TSMC says it will spend another $100 billion to expand manufacturing in the U.S.
The AI boom has seen TSMC, or Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, forecast record high profits, as the company is also a key supplier to NVIDIA and Apple. I'm Karen Shamas.
The White House is highlighting new economic data.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the latest inflation report is another sign the administration's economic policies are delivering results.
Inflation dropped 0.4% last month. Prices fell, including for gasoline, electricity, non-prescription drugs, car insurance, medical care services, and hotels, delivering relief.
The White House says bringing down costs for working families remains a top priority. Willie Nelson.
On Wall Street at the close, the Dow was up by 105 points and NASDAQ down 387. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling down this evening to a low of 76. Tomorrow, blazing hot, 97 the high, a feels-like temperature approaching 104. It'll be a blend of sunshine and clouds for your Friday. For the weekend, mid-90s, nicer on Saturday, mostly sunshine-filled skies, while on Sunday, there's a 40% chance we get some showers. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
Well, if a couple of hours ago you felt a disturbance in the force, yes, indeed, the Corn is back in the United States. He is not here on Sports Talk tonight, but he has made it back from his European vacation, and he is back in the United States. So if things felt a little odd late this afternoon, if there was a disturbance in the force, that's the reason why.
My plan with the Border Patrol,
believe it or not.
Yeah, my plan with the Border Patrol must have not worked.
Believe it or not, Plummer, he somehow got through TSA, and Corn is back in the good old USA. A pleasant Thursday evening to you, and welcome into Sports Talk Media Network on a fine, relatively warm Thursday night all across the state of South Carolina as we continue our wall-to-wall coverage of ACC Media Days. Chris Bergen here in the PD. Meantime, Josh Cohen, the Plumber, back in our palatial studios in Columbia, where at some point in time, Corn shall return. He's actually going to be on the program with us tomorrow night, but from our satellite studio, I believe, over in Atlanta. That remains to be seen. But we've got Matt Smith on the ground at Uptown Charlotte for day 2 of ACC Media Days. It featured the Clemson Tigers. Smitty, how are you, sir?
Yeah, that was certainly the big headline today. Just, hey, tell me what you need tonight, Chris. Do you want to talk about Kyle Efford, who's led Georgia Tech in tackles for 3 straight years? Do you want to talk about Steve Angeli's Achilles tendon, which he injured against Clemson last year? Do you want me to tell me about James Franklin and how he utilizes the tight end to such success, both at Penn State and Vanderbilt? You just lay it out there for me, and I'll take you where you want to go here from Uptown Charlotte.
Well, that must be the theme of media days across the board because, of course, Clemson, their offensive representative was Olsen Bad Henry today, the Clemson tight end. Ryan Beard yesterday answered a question talking about utilizing the tight ends in his new offense at Coastal. I don't know what it is, but maybe we're having a emergence of Kellen Winslow's all over the place.
No, well, that's true. Yesterday you asked me a question about, we were talking about the All-Star game, and we see the cycles going. And what happened was, for so long, in football, they were running spread offenses and spreading everybody out. Like Oregon, Chad Morris and what he was doing at Clemson and trying to spread everybody out and then utilize those gaps so your skill guys were a little bit more athletic and they were going to operate in space. And then the defenses adjusted. And they we're getting a lot of speed on the field. It was nickel package became base package. You and I grew up with a nickel and dime where that was for third and long. Now that's just the base package. And so what is the chess move from the offensive side? Well, what if we have a physical mismatch that's a tight end? What if we have a Tyler Warren or a Travis Kelce type, or like you said, Kellen Winslow? If we have that type of player, Shannon Sharp, that's more physical than your defensive backs and speedier and more athletic than your linebacker, now we can play two of those guys, move them to H-back, shift them right before the snap. It's fascinating. The tight end is in vogue for sure, and I think that's the chess move, and now we're going to see the defenses adjust. Right now you're going to see what I would suspect. I saw a report on this the other day from The Athletic, kind of the linebacker safety hybrid that's going to be kind of a tight end stopper. So you're going to have guys that are there to utilize defensively so that they can do, better against the run, better in covering tight ends. And then we'll see something else from the offenses. So it goes.
So how was day two? Now you have a one-on-one sit-down with Dabo Swinney that we'll bring tonight just after 7 o'clock. It's already been posted on our social media sites. Thought it was a really, really good interview. But aside from that, what were some of your takeaways, not just from the Tigers, but maybe from Virginia Tech and some of the other teams that were there today?
I'll say this. Today may have been – this is unheralded Thursday. These teams, when you start digging in, are better than you might remember. Virginia Tech, I'd forgotten how bad their record was, 3-9, but that was a talented team last year, and they brought in a really good class of transfers, and that's the James Franklin effect. They kept Brent Pry as their defensive coordinator, so that's obviously an interesting situation. Mom and dad split up, but they're going to live in the same house. Because Brent Pry is going to stay with the program. Syracuse, and I should have had this top of mind coming to ACC kickoff, but I did not. When Steve Angeli was healthy last year, that was a Syracuse team that was 3-1. They beat Clemson at Clemson, 3-1 last year. He blows his Achilles, and Syracuse doesn't win again. So Fran Brown, when he's got his starting quarterback coming out of camp, they won 10 games in 2024, and then they were 3-1 out of the chute with their starting quarterback, Steve Angeli, and they just didn't have the depth at that position, and you couldn't have expected Fran Brown necessarily to have that depth yet. Georgia Tech's an underrated program. Let's not forget, Brent Key did a fantastic job last year, and they won 9 ball games, 6-2 in conference play. Louisville, Jeff Brom, that's somebody, 10 wins, 9 wins, 9 wins. And then, of course, you had Clemson and Dabo Swinney here, and to hear Dabo Swinney tell it at the podium, they're underrated. He thinks that they're somebody that's being overlooked because of some of the struggles they had last year. So this was kind of an unheralded Thursday in terms of the teams, but when you peel it back a little bit, you see a lot of success and some really dangerous teams here. Now, I actually disagree with Dabo Swinney's assessment. He was trying to play the underdog card today at the podium. Hard to do.
That's not going to work.
Hard to do when you dominate the conference the way that they have. But he said, nobody picked us in 2011, and I'm going to say nobody's going to pick us this year, and he laughed. And I'm thinking, no, I think there's probably a lot of people in this room. When you pick Clemson to win the ACC under Dabo Swinney, that's kind of like picking Apple stock, right? Like nobody's going to say to you, that's a loser. They've got Chad Morris back at offensive coordinator, and Tom Allen, who is an accomplished defensive coordinator, did not have a great season last year in year one with Clemson, but he he said flat out he couldn't implement his system because of the personnel he was working with, so they went and got some more bodies this year. So I think picking Clemson is kind of like picking Google stock. I think that's simple. Now, I'm going to take Miami to win the conference, but I'm going to say Clemson's going to get some first-place votes. I think Dabo Swinney is dreaming if he thinks they're going to be that underrated.
Yeah, they won't be that underrated. They'll probably be picked second or third, I would think, overall. Certainly Miami is going to be the odds-on favorite, and I'll be curious to see where Duke gets selected as the reigning ACC champions. And quickly, you mentioned Angeli. Of course, he got hurt in that Clemson game when the Tigers just failed to show up and get off the bus after they ran down the hill because they were down 24-14 at the half and just did not look like a very good football team, and they weren't after that game. And how much better would Syracuse have been had Angeli not gotten hurt in that game and been able to maybe finish the entire season? So we shall see. We will hear from Dabo Swinney coming up just after 7 o'clock tonight. Smitty, sit down with him.
I just want to say quickly, and Syracuse is on Clemson's schedule again in October.
Up there.
So just throwing it up there. Yeah, and it's going to be up there. You're going to lock them in the Carrier Dome. No air conditioning in there.
And it's not called the Carrier Dome anymore either.
Oh.
They have a new name?
I know, and the Giants don't play at Candlestick Park. I know.
That doesn't constitute a siren, though, does it?
Oh, yes, it does. Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, I have it available.
I know they don't. I was joking. That's so. You know, I know the Pistons don't play at the Palace at Auburn Hills anymore. I know. Sportsman's Park is not open.
We'll count it as sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is the JMA Wireless Dome now. That sounds so much better, doesn't it?
And the funny thing is,
it rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, the funny thing is that's a fictional company. That's not even a real company. You know, that's how tough it is for Syracuse to get a sponsor. JMA Wireless is not even real.
They just made it up. It'll look good on the side of the building.
That's right, the wireless company. That's the wireless company from The Simpsons. That's not even a real phone company.
All right, 888-898-2525. We'll take a timeout. Smitty's sitting down with Dabo Swinney on the way just after 7. We'll hear from Virginia Tech's new head coach, James Franklin, a little bit later in the program. Chris Dorsey will swing by for the rundown on American Legion Baseball now that they've gotten into the playoffs. But up next, we get a recap of day 1 of the Open Championship. Some guy named Jackson Suber has the lead at 5 under par. We'll learn more about him and the rest of the field with MJ Ward. He'll join us from England after this.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30-plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Business owners, if you're ready to grow your business, you can relax. With Founders Federal Credit Union, we mean business. When it comes to business loans, from equipment to expansion, our flexible financing can help fund real business growth. If you're considering a business loan, such as real estate, vehicles, equipment, or an unsecured loan or line of credit, our team is here to help. Our local experts will review your application, resulting in quick decisions and processing. And unlike most banks, we don't charge prepayment penalties. As always, from Founders, you can expect great rates and exceptional service along the way. Visit foundersfcu.com/business to learn more, or to get started, stop by an office near you or give us a call. 800-845-1614. That's 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Loans are subject to credit evaluation and underwriting requirements.
Looking for thrills? Then welcome to the South Carolina Education Lottery, where excitement's the name of the game, and every chance at a win
Just one more. Come on, so close.
comes with a chance of a whiff.
Ugh. Well, no biggie.
Nicely done. You handled it like a pro. Because when the stakes start getting too real and you find yourself playing for more than fun, it might be time to take a break.
Good point.
Playing for fun makes you a better player, and a better player is a better you. Learn more at SCEducationLottery.com. It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it.
Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
Got no controversy here tonight on a Thursday edition of Sports Talk Media Network. We'll talk some American Legion baseball there into the playoffs. Our good friend Chris Dorsey with the rundown just after 6:30, but round one is complete at the Open Championship over in England, and some guy named Jackson Suber, who's an American, actually has the lead at 5 under par. Daniel Brown and Sunjay M at 4 under par. Then there's a big group at -3 that includes Bryson DeChambeau. Good to see him back in the mix after a solid 67 today. And joining us, by the way, I'm sure you're curious, Scotty Scheffler, pretty good opening round, 2 under par, 68 today. And joining us now over in England, wrapping up round one, getting ready for round two tomorrow. We say hello to our golf analyst, MJ Ward, on the phone lines tonight. MJ, how are things across the pond?
It's just, I tell you, the weather, you couldn't ask for anything better. Just fantastic stuff. As I said last night, the marriage of how the golf course is set up, just a vintage Links presentation, and I think it was just really fun to watch these guys. I was with the Scheffler group just to see them out there early on. There was a lot of excitement in the air with the galleries and everybody. I just think it's really for anybody who has never been. It's one of those kind of bucket list things you need to do, besides obviously bringing your golf clubs. But it was a good opening round. A lot of good, interesting storylines, and clearly there's going to be work to be done by certain people. But I think overall, I think it was interesting to see how some of the better names really started to get back in the mix, and somehow they found Bryson DeChambeau. It's good to see him back in the mix. Hopefully, he'll not fall asleep tomorrow. When you miss 3 cuts in a row, you're a 2-time U.S. Open champion. So it was good to see him back in the mix, and I credit Nick Faldo, his comments prior to the start of the championship when he said that Bryson really doesn't have any type of real strategy when playing at a links course, and I think part of that may have gotten a motivation for Bryson to step it up and play as good as he did today.
Well, MJ, speaking of inexperience on links golf courses, let's start with the leader, Jackson Suber, a 65 today, 5 under par. First time he's ever played in Europe, and to come out and shoot an opening round like that had to be a surprise to a lot of people. What do you know about Jackson Suber?
Well, I think one of the things that has to surprise you is that if he were to pull this off, it would be probably the equivalent of what Ben Curtis did many years back, not too many years ago, but Ben Curtis had never played in a major event, period, when he won the Open Championship at Royal St. George's. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does. But Chris, there's a lot of talent that exists, not just on the PGA Tour, but the Korn Ferry Tour. I think one of the things that's virtuous about being unknown to the elements are you play without any real baggage or skeletons or scar tissue. When you have a perfect day to play like it was, you're not experiencing links conditions that can go awry when you get the rain and you get the wind blowing and you can be in certain places. So, sometimes it's, ignorance is bliss sometimes, and it'll be interesting to see, like it is with any player, when you get into contention. There's a lot of golf left. He's played well in the last couple of events. I mean, a good finish in Canada, played well at the Travelers and the John Deere. Be interesting to see what happens. But, when you don't have to worry about all the scar tissue, sometimes you can play free and loose. We'll see how long that lasts. In some cases, it may last only for today. But you never know, and that's one of the magic things about links golf. Things can change very, very quickly.
Dovetailing off of that point, with him getting the quick turnaround, he'll actually go out in the morning wave tomorrow. Does that actually benefit him, do you think, because he won't have to sit around and think, gosh, I'm leading the Open Championship?
Yeah, I do. I think that's a good point, and I think it's also a good thing for the among the pre-tournament favorites like a Rory McIlroy, which is, get back out there. Don't ponder all the stuff that goes on. The conditions tomorrow are going to be somewhat similar. In other words, there will be some wind blowing. Obviously, there's not going to be any rain of any sort. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys can take advantage of the morning conditions and put some numbers up there. But I agree with you. I think if you had been the reverse, where he was going out late in the day, you start seeing a lot of scores piling up, and some people are making major moves. You stay within your own element and you focus on the things that you can control. But this is a big moment. I mean, a guy's 26 years old. He's never been in this position before. Everybody does it in their own way. Hopefully, it'll be something of a learning curve for him on a good way. But, today he commanded the attention. And I'll tell you, his play on the back nine was superlative. And, to do what he did coming in with the wind conditions, really getting tougher, was a major credit to what he did, as a player, and, we'll see what happens.
MJ Ward joining us here on Sports Talk, talking about the Open Championship. And, MJ, I know you know this, but maybe you can tell us what the mood is like over there and illustrate it, because Shane Lowry was the last player from the islands to win the Open Championship, and no English player has won there since Nick Faldo in the 90s when he was dominating the tour and the majors. Is that a major storyline where you are?
Well, I'll say this much. I think it puts a lot of pressure when you're on home turf. Tommy Fleetwood felt that today. He is right from Southport and that area. Has played the course countless times. There's a lot of pressure, no doubt. You mentioned about Nick Faldo. I mean, I believe that goes back to probably like around 91 or 92 when Nick won his last Open Championship. But the last Englishman to win on English soil is Tony Jacklin back in 1969. So, there's a lot of pressure when you're playing in a home match. The expectations are, for you to do as well as you have done. And let's keep this in mind, guys. A lot of people don't realize this. Yes, McIlroy, he ended his majorless streak with 2 wins at the Masters this year and the year before. But he hasn't won a different major, okay, in terms of different venues that you could go to. There is an adjustment to having to do with this. And let's not also forget that when McIlroy had a home match at Royal Portrush the first time that the Open was played there, that's when Shane Lowry won. His first tee shot went out of bounds. So playing home is not necessarily an advantage in its totality. There can be a lot of pressure put on you, self-imposed, much of it. But it's something that, I think it's a very fair point, given what the expectations are. Tyrrell Hatton is a really talented player. He's up there. It's possible that somebody could break through, in this week. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I concur with your statement. Yeah, I think playing sometimes on a home venue, there's certain advantages, but there's also certain pressures that can come to roost.
MJ Ward with us for a few more moments, recapping round 1 of the Open Championship. Round 2, of course, starting bright and early on our side of the Atlantic tomorrow morning, heading into the weekend. You mentioned McIlroy, and gosh, I can't remember. I'm sure he's done this before, but MJ, I can't remember a round where he had 6 bogeys as he did today. Also doubled that with 4 birdies today to kind of buoy his score. But a 72 in the first round. Doesn't appear that his game has gotten all the way back to where it was in the Masters week, huh?
That's one of the interesting things, Chris. I mean, not that I'm the only person that's written about it, but sometimes when you win a major, there is a letdown. And last year when he completed the career Grand Slam, which is a major milestone in 25, the rest of his year was really not exactly the highest of levels. He did play an important role at the Ryder Cup matches at Bethpage. He wins the Masters in 26, Clearly, he defends his title. He only becomes the fourth golfer to do it. I think the real question is what kind of fire in the belly do you have? I expect Rory to come out and play like gangbusters. He drove the ball extremely well today. He drove the ninth hole, had a tap-in birdie. But, sometimes when you have a balky putter, you can start to overread things and overthink things. But I would not rule him out. Let's keep in mind he was 7 shots back after round 1 in the 25 Masters to Justin Rose. There's a lot of golf to be played. If he were to go out and put a good number on the board, he did that last week at the Scottish Open, albeit he really wasn't in contention when he shot 64 the last round after having shot 73 in the third round. But he is very capable of getting back into touch here with what's going on. And it will all depend, guys, about the conditions. I mean, if the wind is blowing, a lot of the holes, a lot of the people don't realize this, you get a lot of crosswinds blowing on the links at Royal Birkdale, and you have to be able to know how to slot your shots correctly. The guy that really didn't get the best of his round is Scottie Scheffler. I mean, he is 2 under, which is nothing to shake a bad stick at. But the bottom line of it is Scottie played really solid tee to green golf, did not get the most out of his round. He came up literally a half of a turn of a ball to birdie the 18th hole. But it's that kind of situation that when you get really good players on a golf course where they're comfortable in shaping shots, that's going to be a separating factor. And I mentioned this to you yesterday. Control of the trajectory is central to links golf and what you have to do to succeed there. And I would not take anything away from Scottie Scheffler because of what he's capable of doing at any point in time. But McIlroy will have a lot on his back tomorrow to get started. Yeah. I expect him to shoot low tomorrow to get back into the race.
MJ, outstanding stuff as always. Have a good night's sleep, and we'll talk back to you tomorrow with round 2 in the books. Looking forward to the weekend.
Guys, a pleasure. Have a good one.
That's MJ Ward. We talk baseball next.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling down this evening to a low of 76. Tomorrow, blazing hot, 97 the high, a feels-like temperature approaching 104. It'll be a blend of sunshine and clouds for your Friday. For the weekend, mid-90s, nicer on Saturday, mostly sunshine-filled skies, while on Sunday, there's a 40% chance we get some showers. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
The Point.
Detroit says. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities in Texas have rescued hundreds of stranded drivers and people trapped in homes, and at least 2 people have died due to catastrophic flooding. The region is still recovering from devastating floods a year ago. The governor said Thursday that the hardest hit areas are expecting more rain and are not out of danger yet. Heavy smoke from wildfires is darkening skies from the U.S. Midwest to the East Coast. The smoke on Thursday prompted warnings that breathing the air outside could be dangerous for people. The smoke is coming from fires that are burning primarily in Canada but also in northern Minnesota. A National Weather Service meteorologist in Detroit says a lingering high-pressure system has trapped the smoke close to the ground. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 105 points, the S&P lower by 38. More details at srnnews.com.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven-baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee-Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
If you're juggling multiple credit card balances and you're feeling overwhelmed, high interest can add up quickly and it can become stressful to control. Now through September 30th, 2026, well-qualified borrowers can pause interest when they transfer credit card balances and enjoy 0% APR for 12 months. A balance transfer can help simplify your life, making it easier to focus and manage your budget. This limited time offer can help you move forward with confidence and less worry. Plus, with fewer due dates and less interest to worry about, you can spend more time focusing on what matters most: your goals, your family, and your financial future. Upon expiration, APR will then revert to the standard variable APR, currently 12.5% to 17.90%. If credit criteria are not met, 17.9% APR will apply. Don't wait. Visit foundersfcu.com/cc for more details. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
South Carolina summers are hot and humid and hard on your air conditioner. When your home stops feeling comfortable, call Sweet Comfort Services. We're family owned and operated with over 30 years of heating and air experience. From service and maintenance to complete system replacement, we're here to keep your family cool. We'll even meet or beat any quote from a licensed competitor. Schedule your appointment online at sweethvac.com or call 803-331-8143. Sweet Comfort Services, comfort you can count on.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-358-9218. 800-358-9218. 800-358-9218.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Welcome back to Sports Talk. Matt Smith, Chris Bergen, Josh Cohen with you here tonight. I am live from ACC kickoff in Uptown Charlotte. We'll get back to football in a few minutes, but right now we're going to talk a little baseball. American Legion, it's the rundown with Post 215 head coach Chris Dorsey. He's in a dugout somewhere. The rundown is presented by the Big Red Box Company. Like Sports Talk, Big Red Box dumpsters cover the state. Big Red Box containers have convenient swinging doors on the back for easy loading. Make your dumpster rental simple by calling Big Red Box at 803-783-6834 or Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Chris, where are you tonight, and what's your competition look like?
Hey, Matt, we're in Rock Hill, South Carolina, at Rock Hill High School, and it's the second game of the best-of-3 series in the first round of the playoffs.
Okay, this is the second game, so what happened in game one?
Well, last night our bats came alive. It was crazy. We were facing their ace, and, you know, he kind of got us the first inning. I think we scored one in the second, and then the third inning we scored like 7 runs, had a huge inning. We ended up scoring 15 runs last night, Matt. And we won 15-5. The bats were on fire.
That's incredible. All right, and so you can go and you could advance with a win tonight. What about elsewhere? I know that I saw earlier in the season heading into the playoffs that Camden was really strong among other teams. So what are you hearing about what's going on across the state as the playoffs are getting underway?
Yeah, so last night, you know, it was 16 teams are left, and last night they had the first round, and there was really no upsets in the first round. Most upper seeds won. I think there was one. Sean, Chesney beat, who was the only upset last night? Greenwood beat Chesney last night, a three beat a 1 in game 1. But, you know, these are best 2 out of 3. So, you know, Camden, they're playing Spartanburg. They won 10-run them. Dave Florence was in a pure sixer last night against Newberry. Just didn't really put it together.
Josh, you want to see if we can get
last night.
Yeah, you want to see if Chris can call us back, see if we can get a better signal.
Yeah,
we may have to get him to rewrite
Can you hear
all
me
of
better
that.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
Can
Yeah,
you
it's
hear me
gotten a little
better?
bit better. Thank you. Yeah, if you won't mind recapping what you just said, we appreciate it.
Yeah, so I don't know where I left off, but so there was really no upsets last night other than Chesney got beat by Greenwood. That was a 3-1 seed. And then Chapin Newberry gave Florence all they wanted. It was a 6-5 game, and Chapin Newberry came in as a wild card seed. But, they got a lot of talent. They got most of those guys from the state championship Chapin team. And I've always said, sometimes winning a state championship is not the best thing for Legion. It's kind of weird. You want great talent, but you also want guys that are real hungry, and sometimes you just can't turn it on. Chapin Newberry, though, has a good team.
Hey, Chris, you mentioned you're at Rock Hill tonight. Now, did you get to host last night, and tonight your Post 215 is on the road? How are they going back and forth with home and home in this series?
Yeah, so we were the higher seed, and we hosted last night. We play tonight. Hopefully we can clinch, and if we don't, we go back to AC4 to play Game 3 tomorrow night.
Okay, just incredible. Tell us about some of the players that have been excelling for you. You mentioned the Bats came alive. All right, give us some specifics. We'd love to hear these players' names, especially the ones that we know are going to either head off to college next year or maybe you're playing on a college team somewhere already.
Yeah, so last night, Rohan Brenner hit the farthest home run of in my 5 years. It had to go 450 feet. Rohan's a rising senior at AC4. He's got some offers, but he's we don't know where he's going right now. Alvin Murray was 2 for 3 or 3 for 4 or something like that. He's hitting over 400 again this year. He was electric. I'm sitting here just looking down the bench. Dylan Hernandez had a couple of really big hits. Jackson Williams, a rising senior at Spring Valley, went 3 for 3 with a triple and 4 RBIs. He had a really good game. Tyler Hernandez pitched really well he went 5 innings, and Rick Scott, who's a rising junior at AC4, who's really good, came in and pitched well. Nathan Caldwell had he got on base a bunch of times, had some big hits. Charlie Scott had a double off the wall and another single. Played really well, and Austin Jeffcoat, our left fielder, hit one about 10 feet off the ground and one hopped the wall. That was a big. So that's hey, I almost feel like I got to be careful here, Matt. I mean, we had a hot night, but that's distant memory right now. We're 15 minutes away from Game 2, so we got to erase all that stuff from last night. But I can tell you, we hit the ball really good. Hopefully that continues.
Yeah, I understand, Coach. You don't want to talk it up too big. Chris Dorsey joining us here talking a little American Legion baseball. Okay, you said that for the most part, other than Greenwood over Chesney, there weren't a lot of upsets. So just lay it out for us. Tell us who are the teams that, if you're an observer, you're thinking these are the contenders for this year's state championship.
Well, I'll go with what they have a ranking system that comes out every week, and Camden's ranked number 1 right now. So Camden's 1, Florence is 2, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think Chesney might have been number 3. I know Sumter was number 3 about a week ago. They lost 3 games in a row. They ended up beating Manning last night. But look, at the end of the day, guys, you guys know American Legion baseball good enough to know Camden and Florence are the 2 teams that are favorites right now.
Chris, you talked about the upset that Greenwood pulled off last night, but I'm rolling through their stats, and they are an amazing offensive team. I think they have 3 or 4 of the top 5 hitters right now on the senior side of American Legion baseball. First off, how do they compile all those guys on one team, and what are they doing offensively from what you've been able to gather with regards to their baseball team?
I haven't seen them play other than the fact that they came up to that North Carolina-South Carolina challenge with us along with Florence, and they beat a couple really good teams. So I don't know anything about Greenwood. I don't even know where they're pulling their guys from other than Greenwood High School. But I mean, I know they have a bunch of high schools up there they can pull from. But I really don't know a whole lot about Greenwood. You just told me some news about them. This time of year, I mean, I really throw it all away, guys. It's like a new season, and it's whoever gets hot at the right time. I mean, if I was Vegas last year going in to the playoffs, I mean, as a Richland team, we would have been a big underdog. And we ended up beating, like I said last week, we beat Daniel Parker and Colby Richardson. I mean, what are the chances of that? So it's all about who gets hot, who gels as a team, who the chemistry coming together. I really felt like last night, we've struggled this year with our chemistry. I'm not going to lie. We've had some moving parts, and, we've had some disciplinary actions and some different things like that I think have brought us closer together. And last night, I think, was the first time I could say all year that the dugout was great. The play was great. Hustle was great. So we played a complete game, and we just want to continue that into the rest of the playoffs.
All right, so go ahead, Chris.
No, I was going to say, Smitty, with regard Chris Dorsey with us here tonight on Sports Talk. And Chris, I was going to ask you about if you guys were able to finish this off tonight against Rock Hill. How much does that behoove you in terms of getting a little bit of rest before you'd head into the second round of the postseason, or does it matter because the games are stacked so tightly together?
They're stacked so tightly together. Gary, if we win, when is the first round of the state tournament? The 18th. So Monday. I mean, tonight if we win, we get Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We get 3 days off. But if we don't, then we only get 2. So it goes. I mean, this is a gauntlet. They set this Legion thing up to do it really quick, really fast, and pitching is, every night you got to, tonight I'm sitting here, I can't have all hands on deck on a game like this tonight because I have to worry about a game tomorrow night as well. So it's all about pitching and controlling that and figuring that out. And if everybody has a plan until they get punched in the nose, like Mike Tyson said. So I go into every game with a plan. Okay, we're going to go here, and in the 4th or 5th inning, we're going to go here and then here. And 95% of the time, that something else happens. You know what I'm saying?
So, Chris, all right, tell us tonight, Post 215 out of Richland is against Post 34 out of Rock Hill. It's must-win for Rock Hill Post 34. Do you know who they're throwing, and what's your pitching plan tonight?
Yeah, they're throwing Camden Towell, a left-handed pitcher. You'll probably, Matt, you guys do such a great job with high school sports. You probably know more about Camden Towell, Towell, than I do. I'm sitting here watching him warm up. He's a lefty, and he looks like a crafty left-hander.
And who are you throwing tonight?
We're throwing Scott Graham. Scott's kind of a power pitcher. He's, high 80s, left-handed pitcher, throws hard, and he played at P27 this year. And he's a former AC Flora Falcon, but went to P27 for his senior year, and he's going to Newberry College.
Wow, incredible. All right, Chris, thank you so much. Good luck tonight. Good luck to everybody playing across the state. I guess some teams will be eliminated, and we'll check in about that when you join us next week on the next edition of The Rundown here on Sports Talk.
Thanks for all. Hey, I really appreciate all you guys do. Matt, I've been really liking those clips that you've been putting out. I know that they've been getting a lot of views and a lot of clicks. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. That's Chris Dorsey. Excellent. He's on to manage a game. It's Richland Post 215 and Rock Hill Post 34. Chris, our coaches never did interviews on the radio in the dugout, but the world's changed.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how many coaches do you think would sit here and then have to run over and hand in their lineup card just in time to get the game started because he was doing an interview on statewide radio? Good stuff.
Exciting news! Founders Federal Credit Union is offering a limited time rate on 15-month certificates and IRA certificates with a minimum deposit of just $500. Lock in 4.58% APY or 80% yield on a 15-month certificate. That's right, 4.58% APY. Or open a 15-month IRA certificate at 4.84 APY. Let your money work for you with guaranteed dividends. New and renewal certificates of $500 $100 or more, unlock an additional 0.25% dividend increase. Don't let this chance slip away. Certificates can be opened on Founders Online, the Founders app, or at an office near you. IRA certificates can be opened at a Founders office only. Not a member yet? Visit foundersfcu.com to learn more and see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Dividends compound quarterly. Rates accurate as of July 1st, 2026. Rates, terms, and conditions subject to change without notice. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. Jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
All right, thanks to Chris Dorsey for the rundown on American Legion baseball. Good luck to all the teams tonight. Smitty, did you ever play American Legion? Was it popular back prior to your collegiate career?
Absolutely. I was Inman, and Inman post 45. I loved every minute of it. I adored American Legion baseball. You know, I hadn't thought of it until we started covering American Legion baseball here on Sports Talk, but there's great patriotism around it as well, because you know the American Legion, those are all the veterans of foreign wars, and they come and support the team, and I got to know a lot of them well there in Inman, and that's the only time in my life I ever played with an American flag patch on my uniform. You know, I wasn't making any United States teams or anything like that, but there was a sewn patch, you know, not a graphic, not screen printed, a sewn American flag on our American Legion uniforms. Only time I've ever worn one as an athlete.
You know, I feel like I cheated myself in my younger days because I never played organized baseball, Little League, or the like, and grew up in a haven of American Legion baseball in Lincolnton, North Carolina. We were just outside of Shelby, of course, where, you know, the American Legion World Series is, and the Cherryville teams up that way. And it is Cherryville if you grew up in that. It's not Cherryville. If you hear them say that during the American Legion World Series, they are wrong. It's Cherryville. You dropped the Y. But nonetheless, I never got into American Legion baseball and really didn't realize the impact it had made until I came here actually to Florence many moons ago and watched what Derek Urquhart has been able to accomplish with the Florence Post 1 team over here, and just the popularity of American Legion baseball in both Carolinas. I think it's outstanding.
I do too. I'm so proud of it. I'm glad that it's made a return. And for those that don't know the story, we have Chris Dorsey on every week. He restarted the American Legion baseball program at Richland Post 215, which is why we reached out to him in the first place, to get these updates. It's something, it was like us. It was special to him growing up. He played himself. And then travel ball kind of took the place of American Legion. But he said, listen, the Posts are still around. And he has – and you're right, Florence never went away. Post 1, I think, with Derek Urquhart.
Post 1.
I mean, they've been a machine. Sumter's good. There's a lot of them across the state. Spartanburg Post 28. But I was very proud to be at Inman Post 45. And I've heard that before, Chris, Cherryville. Cherryville, where they drink cheerwine.
Cheerwine, yes.
Yes, and sit in rocking chairs and watch the Andy Griffith Show.
It is not Cherryville, I promise you. It is not Cherryville. It's like Louisville. You know, it's not Louisville, as people say. It's Louisville. So same thing here. Cherryville. Just drop the Y. So we appreciate Chris dropping by for our rundown. We'll catch up with him again next week when the playoffs condense a touch for American Legion Baseball. Wanted to hit a few of the other news notes of the day before we hit the top of the hour break and let you hear Smitty's one-on-one with Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney. Big news for the South Carolina women's basketball team today, Smitty. I don't know if you saw this, but Maddie McDaniel announced she is stepping away from the team to focus on her mental and emotional well-being. And she was going to be pretty much the heir apparent to Raven Johnson as the starting point guard for USC. Didn't play a whole lot last year in terms of starts. Did participate, though, in 33 games. Averaged about 5 points a game. So not as big an impact as she was probably going to make this season. So this I think is a big loss for the Gamecocks and a young lady who realizes she's got some other issues off the floor that she needs to take care of. So USC announcing that today, that she's stepping away.
Yeah, that's certainly a major loss for Dawn Staley's program, and you can't foresee things like that. So she couldn't recruit, as you said, Maddie McDaniel.
Right.
It was just expected that she was going to step in, fill that role, especially after playing so well in as a reserve last season. So we wish her the best, obviously, but from a basketball standpoint, on the court standpoint, it's a major loss for the Gamecocks, and we'll see how they try to fill that void.
I did think this was funny, and then we'll get back into some other news notes. I don't know if you saw this today, but a Reddit college, I'm sure you saw the sign at ACC Media Days. There was a sign that was situated on a tripod, ACC kickoff, and it said, "No tripods." So clearly the Atlantic Coast Conference did not realize the folly of its sign.
Okay. I walked by that sign and did not even get the joke initially. I didn't even catch that because I just, no tripods in here. And I said, they just want to make room for everybody. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together to make 3, which is no tripods in the room. I missed that, and I walked right by. I know where that is. That's in the breakout room where they do the one-on-ones or the little gaggles there.
Sometimes you just you miss the obvious.
Yes,
because you're so worried about everything else, you just miss the obvious.
Well,
you can't put a no tripod sign on a tripod.
That's right. I did miss that. I was searching for my 11th cup of coffee. I was trying to stay upright, and I missed it. I whiffed.
All right, I know this will make you happy today. Some of the other news notes of the day. Wrigley Field will host next year's 2027 All-Star Game.
Yes. I'm all for that. Anytime they want to put something at Wrigley Field or Fenway Park, count me in. I mean everything. Everything and anything. Yeah,
I think this is a coming off what appeared to be a really, really well-run and well-done tribute to our country's 250th birthday in Philadelphia. I think Major League Baseball did a nice job of putting next year's All-Star Game in Wrigley Field. I thought this was fascinating. Hadn't heard much about R.J. Godfrey the last couple of weeks, but then, of course, when the lawsuit started flying, he thought, you know what, this might actually be a good thing for me. Former Clemson men's basketball player R.J. Godfrey sued the NCAA last week. He is seeking a 5th year of eligibility as part of that group lawsuit. The suit revolves around the NCAA's new 5-for-5 rule, which, as it currently stands, does not cover players like Godfrey, whose eligibility ended this past basketball season. Now, you can go a couple of ways with this. I think, life's not always fair. And I don't know why we don't approach things like that. Okay, the rule came in. It's going to go into effect, next season? If you graduated and your eligibility is done this year, I'm sorry, you're done. But
yes.
Sooner or later, somebody's got to step in with some common sense and say, you know what, it was the COVID year all over again. We should have never had the COVID year. That messed up eligibility for so many players, because especially the ones that actually played their seasons. I get it for some of the schools that could not play or elected not to play. Yeah, those players probably deserve to get that year back. But if you played a full year, you shouldn't have gotten another year, in my opinion. And same thing here. I feel bad for R.J. Godfrey and all the players their eligibility expired at the end of this past season. But the rule is into effect next year. You shouldn't be able to sue and get another year just because we passed a rule that won't go into effect until next season.
No, I couldn't agree more. you stated the case eloquently, because consider this: there have been all sorts of rule changes about eligibility in the history of the NCAA, right? Red shirts, medical red shirts, all of these things had to come into being at some point. And in this case, the NCAA wrote in there they were doing their best to give a runway, and and they were trying to spell out, if you started this semester, you get 5 years, but then these players don't. And they're just doing their best. The problem really is this. The NCAA has been rendered worthless. It's always been feckless and toothless. But now it is worthless because everybody says, well, I don't like that rule. I'll just sue. And for some reason, the NCAA loses every court case it goes to.
They do.
They lose them all. So what will have to happen is, as you said, at some point, I think Congress needs to step in, which has been a big topic here at the ACC kickoff. Jim Phillips said we need Congress to step in, if only to make this a federal law, and this way everybody can't go to court every time they don't like an NCAA or a conference eligibility rule. If you have a law in place, then in that instance, then the judges are going to be there just to interpret the law that's on the books and not try to work these things from whole cloth in circuit courts across the country.
We're going to get to a point in collegiate athletics that high school players, there's no room for them because there's so many players that are staying in college for whatever reason that the high school players are going to be left on the outside trying to talk their way in past the bouncer to get into the cool nightclub.
It's already happening. And so if anyone follows recruiting, and this is a good thing to bring up with Phil Kornblut when he makes his triumphant return to Sports Talk, but already I'm hearing high school coaches say, this is a player that would have been a Power 4 player a decade ago, but because the Power 4 is now – so let's say you're a Power 4 coach. Say you're a coordinator trying to save your job. You're Tom Allen at Clemson.
Yeah.
You say, okay, well, I need to go get a player that's ready-made because I don't have time to develop. Because if I have a tough 2026, exactly, will help. I need an impact player now because I need to make an impact and let everybody know I'm here to stay. Well, when you do that, that's a scholarship that does not go to a high school player. So what would have been Power 4 players in the past are now going to App State or James Madison or Coastal Carolina, and then those players end up where? The ACC, SEC, or Big Ten by the time they're a junior. Clev Lubin from Louisville, saw him today, played at Coastal Carolina. It's happening across the board, and we need to wrap our arms around it.
All right, we'll slide out top of the hour break. Back with Smitty and Dr. Dabo.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The federal government is bringing back a policy that is raising concerns for legal immigrants and their U.S.-born relatives.
The Trump administration is moving to deny green cards to immigrants who use public benefits like food stamps, housing vouchers, or Medicaid. The policy revives a rule that applicants have to show they wouldn't be, quote, public charges, i.e. a burden to taxpayers. It was implemented during President Trump's first term but reversed under President Biden. A post by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says that under President Trump, the agency is restoring the basic principle that immigrants must be able to support themselves. Immigrant advocates and public health groups have criticized the rule, saying it will have a chilling effect on the health and safety of legal immigrants and the children of mixed-status families. Jennifer King, Washington.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt returned to her duties today after being off for maternity leave. Leavitt says the U.S. is continuing airstrikes as a result of Iran's belligerence.
And the reason for the recent strikes over the course of the last several days is because Iran violated the Memorandum of Understanding that we struck with them. Specifically, in the Memorandum of Understanding that they signed, they were not to fire on commercial vessels moving through the Strait of Hormuz. And unfortunately, they have made the tragic decision for them to do that. And President Trump is not going to sit by and allow these acts of terrorism to take place in the Strait without ensuring Iran pays consequences for that, and that's what we are witnessing right now.
Mediators from countries that include Pakistan, Qatar, and Egypt have been working to resume peace talks. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 105 points, the Nasdaq dropping by 387, the S&P 500 lower by 38, oil near $79 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
Well, it's official. My friends have all switched to Pure Talk because I told them they could save a bunch of money on a super reliable high-speed network with unlimited data. And because they're my friends, they trust me. As for the rest of you, well, Pure Talk understands that even though you might like me, you're not just going to take my word for it, nor should you. For that reason, and for a very limited time, Pure Talk is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month for the first 3 months, including their top-tier unlimited plan that normally sells for $65 a month. Think of it like a test drive, a super simple way to save $150 while you kick the tires on Pure Talk's blazing fast network, and a fine way to see for yourself why I switched from big wireless, along with a few 100,000 of my closest friends. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and be connected to Pure Talk's friendly U.S. customer service team. Again, dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and let the savings begin.
The latest on mortgage rates.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose this week to 6.55%. That's the highest level in nearly a year. Mortgage rates have been hovering around 6.5% for several weeks and mostly trending higher for months. Higher oil prices due to the war with Iran have raised expectations for hotter inflation, pushing up the long-term bond yields that influence mortgage rates. The trend has weighed on home sales this year. I'm Alex Vega.
Shoppers slowed their spending in June from May, but excluding business at the gas pump, shoppers show resilience despite economic uncertainty as they bought cars and took advantage of summer sales events. Retail sales rose 0.2% in June after being up a revised 1% in May, that according to the Commerce Department. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling down this evening to a low of 76. Tomorrow, blazing hot, 97 the high. A feels-like temperature approaching 104. It'll be a blend of sunshine and clouds for your Friday. For the weekend, mid-90s, nicer on Saturday, mostly sunshine-filled skies, while on Sunday, there's a 40% chance we get some showers. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Just cruising right along here on a Thursday edition of Sports Talk Media Network all across the state of South Carolina. Talk some American Legion baseball in the opening hour with Chris Dorsey. Also hit up MJ Ward, who is over in England for the Open Championship. Round 1 in the books. Round 2 set to tee off. Smitty, actually from our perspective, round 2 tees off in about 7 hours.
I'm going to miss the first hole in that case.
Because, they got so much daylight over there since they're so far north here in the summertime that they can play late into the evening and get it started early in the morning. So, MJ's got a quick turnaround after joining us a little while ago at 11:15 local time over in England. And Jackson Suber, who is the leader at -5, he tees off at 2:30 tomorrow morning, our time, which would be, of course, 7:30 over in England. So good stuff there. We've got Smitty's interview sit-down with Dabo Sweeney coming up in a couple of moments as we continue our coverage of ACC Media Day. We'll get some recruiting out of the way as well. And we'll also hear from Virginia Tech head coach James Franklin, his first appearance with the Hokies at ACC kickoff. He's hoping to be back in Charlotte for the ACC title game, but that remains to be seen. Another guy, Smitty, obviously, that's hoping to get his team back to the ACC title game is Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney, who you had the privilege of sitting down to visit with a bit earlier today.
Yeah, it was a good sit down with Coach Swinney, and we talked about a variety of things in just about 8 minutes. But we talked about the quarterback position, whether or not Tate Reynolds is going to push Chris Vizina, how confident is he in that room. Also, where Clemson needs to improve between now and kickoff against LSU, because that's a monumental task. Even though Lane Kiffin's in his first year at LSU, we know they're going to bring talent to that ball game, and you don't want to start out 0-1 if you're the Clemson Tigers, of course. But we open with Dabo Swinney reconnecting with Chad Morris and the factors that led to that reunion as Clemson's offensive coordinator. Coach, first of all, thanks for spending some time with us. And I'd really like to know about you reconnecting with Chad Morris, bringing him back to the program. I'm curious, how much of was there a factor of, hey, he knows how we do things, he knows what I need, and he knows how the Clemson program operates. How much was that? And then also the fact that the guy's a good play caller.
No, both, all the above. Certainly, tough to when you have to make those type of decisions and changes. But, man, the same reasons I hired him in 2011 are exactly the same. We were 6-7 in 2010. And obviously won 7 last year, and my second worst season as a head coach. And, I just had great conviction back in 2011. I didn't know him. He'd only been in college about 9 or 10 months. And but I just was like, this is right for me. This is the right fit. And then, hey, we had a great run together. We had a great 4 years, and we're friends. We're not just colleagues. We're friends. We've always had a relationship. And now all of a sudden you're in a situation where, man, it just didn't work the way you wanted to, and the timing was right for him. Timing was right for me. Certainly, the fact, hey, he knows me. He knows Clemson. He loves me. He loves Clemson. We speak the same language. There's a ton of alignment there, and so it really was a easy decision. And he's fired up, and he's got he's lived a lot of life since 2011. So have I. He's learned a lot, so have I, and it's been fun. He's in a different place in his life, and his man, he is motivated highly to help me take Clemson back to the top, and it starts with getting this offense back on track, and he's well equipped to do that.
And is he easy on quarterbacks? Not really. So now tell us about the quarterback position. And is there any chance that you could go into the season not knowing everything and maybe wanting to see those guys in game action before you make a full decision? Or do you want to have that decision made before you kick off against LSU?
Yeah, I mean, you'd love to have that decision made, but TBD. I mean, CV is our starter going into camp. He's earned that. He's been awesome. But, Tate, he had to kind of separate himself from the other guys to kind of win that second spot, and now he's eager to go compete with CV, but we're unproven at the position. We like the talent, but we're unproven, and we got to go do it. Everybody's got to. So I mean, anything can happen. So I have no idea, but we're going to be at practice every day, and we're going to watch and evaluate the tape. But I'll just tell you this: we like the talent we have in the room, and not just those two guys, Brock Bradley and Trent. I think are very capable as well. So it's going to be fun. CV again has done a great job for us. He's the most experienced guy, but he's also unproven. And the one start that he did a great job for us. He really did. So I'm excited to see the competition, and it's his responsibility to go prove he's the best guy, and it's Tate's responsibility to go try to win the job. And it's our responsibility to evaluate that, and if it's a clear-cut thing, great. If it goes into the season, it is what it is. But we'll all know when we see it.
Coach, as you look around this room at all the pennants up, this is a conference that has changed since you got in it. And Jim Phillips yesterday up in Charlotte Hall, he was addressing a lot of big picture questions, which you've had to do. I'm not going to ask you about college football because you've had to answer that question many times, and we know where you stand. But what about this conference? Because Tony Elliott at Virginia, he may have a different idea of what college football should look like than Mario Cristobal at Miami or at Stanford or Boston College or Clemson. Do you think the ACC's cohesive and going to be able to stay together long term, or do you have concerns about that too?
No, I mean, I think this league is strong. You saw that in the postseason last year and the results that this league produced and the amount of bowl teams. And, I mean, there's some great football coaches in this league and great players and a bunch of great brands. And I'm really proud of how the league has grown. But I think your question is beyond the ACC. I think it's more just the landscape of college football. I mean, personally, I have my own opinions as far as where we're probably going to be, 3, 4, 6, 7 years from now, with just the landscape of college football. I don't see conferences going away, but I think it may look different down the road. So we'll see. But I'm just in the here and now, and this league is strong. I think Commissioner Phillips has done an amazing job. He's a tremendous advocate for this league and for the coaches and for our sport, and I appreciate that. But Miami was in the national championship last year and didn't even make our league championship game. So, man, this is a league you better show up ready to play every single week because anybody can beat anybody. And so a bunch of great players, a bunch of great coaches, and I think the league is incredibly strong and well-positioned for where we are right now. And, regardless of the league you're in or whatever, I think big picture-wise, it's going to be very interesting, as things continue to evolve from a, big picture standpoint, playoff, expansion, all that type of stuff.
Well, you're one of the voices that certainly carries a lot of weight. We'll let you finish on a football question, Coach. LSU, I don't know why you set up these tests early in the season, but all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Where do you need – so this is sport Coach Sweeney.
Yeah.
When you get into sneakers, quarter zip, whistle, where does Clemson need to be better from today until that kickoff? What's something, if you had a magic wand, you say, guys, we got to get better at this before we take the field for that opener?
Yeah, well, number one, we need a little bit of luck and just healthy, staying healthy. We're pretty healthy going into camp, so I think that's a bit, we lost Antonio Williams last year. Pretty good loss for us. He went out early. And so I think health is a big part of it. But then big picture-wise, it's just improving in the areas that we struggled in last year. Pass defense, running the ball effectively, third down offense, improving in some key areas in special teams. So that's probably the biggest thing. But just, we got a lot of work to do between now and that game. That's going to be what a blessing to be a part of a game like that. Game day at a historic program like LSU in Baton Rouge. It's just awesome. It's awesome to be part of it. So we won't have any lack of focus, that's for sure, in trying to get ready for that one.
That's Dabo Sweeney and from ACC Kickoff in Uptown Charlotte, giving us a little peek inside what he is thinking for this upcoming season, the quarterback battle, what he expects from Chad Morris. And, Chris, what struck me in the final answer was those things, Coach Sweeney, I don't mean to push back here because he was gracious enough to join us, but last year he told us during the season, the running game's fine. I asked him specifically in a press conference, Coach, where do you feel about the running game? Because I don't think you're running it effectively. But he just told us in that answer, we've got to get better at running the football under Chad Morris this year, better than we were under Garrett Riley last year. And I think I'd agree with that because it doesn't matter who's a quarterback, Chris Fazzina, Tate Reynolds, or otherwise. If Clemson doesn't run the ball better, it's going to be difficult for that offensive line to gel and get the ball in the hands of Bryant Wesco Jr. and TJ Moore and all the weapons they have if the other team doesn't respect what they can do lining up and going at them in the run game.
Oh, I agree. We talked about the run game most of last season with the Tigers, and one thing I think they pigeonholed themselves into a bad position, much like USC has done. For whatever reason, especially South Carolina, they have just not done a very good job here the last several years of recruiting quality running backs. Of course, they got lucky a couple of years back. I don't know if luck is the appropriate word. They hit in the transfer portal with Rocket Sanders. They missed badly last year in the transfer portal, and that was part of the reason their offense was just abysmal to watch. And I think when you're trying to convert a wide receiver like they did with Adam Randall to move him back to running back, it wasn't going to work. And I remember Dabo Swinney saying before the season began that he thought Adam Randall would be one of the stories of college football. And had that played out, maybe we're not talking about Clemson coming off a 7-win season last year. They would have been much better, but I think you're 100% correct. They've got to be able to run the football, and that's something I think Chad Morris is going to bring to the table. Excuse me, but one thing I thought you pointed out perfectly, and I wish Dabo would elaborate a little bit further. He said he's got opinions about the future of college athletics, especially college football, and you've said, and I think you're 100% correct, he is one of the voices in college football. When Dabo Swinney speaks, whether it's about his football team or getting on Ole Miss for stealing one of his players and this type of thing, the rest of college football listens. They may not always like what he has to say, but I wish he would have opened up a little bit and said what he is thinking, because I think it'd be interesting theater to find out exactly what Dabo Swinney, one of the top coaches in the sport, one of the longest tenured coaches in the sport, certainly in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I think what he has to say about a wide array of topics, Smitty, as you pointed out, carries a lot of weight, especially within the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Yes, and I suppose I understand why Coach Swinney doesn't want to talk about the ACC. Because for me, it is the one that, we talked about this last night, you have particular schools like North Carolina, Clemson, that are Jenga pieces, right? First dominoes, that if you take Clemson football out of the ACC, it'd kill it.
It'd be a killer. It really would. You're right. It's the Jenga piece down at the bottom, and the whole template falls.
The ACC would take on a new meaning.
Mm-hmm.
If you take North Carolina and Duke basketball out in the winter, then you say, oh, ACC hoops, you start hearing America, the American Conference. That's what you start to hear. You start to hear Metro, because then you look around and say, well, SMU, Pitt basketball. I mean, I'm looking at the pennants, Louisville basketball, some decent brands, Boston College, but not to the level of what you and I and our listeners grew up with, that tight 9-team ACC. And I think they did what they had to do in letting SMU in and in inviting the California schools who didn't have anywhere to go. I understand how we got to this place. I know how we got to this place. But I think they would be doing each other a big disservice if they don't sit down and have a serious discussion, like Dabo Swinney just said, about where they're going to be in 5 years, because the fact that Clemson and Miami are good at football right now doesn't mean a lot if this conference starts to come apart because they have differing interests. I keep using this example. I just don't know that Wake Forest and Boston College have an appetite for the type of football and the arms race that Ohio State and Michigan and Georgia want college football to be. I don't know if those teams are going to be on the same page. And if they're not on the same page, that forces the hand of teams like Clemson. Which side would they take in that battle?
That's a fascinating point. And
because Dabo Swinney does not want to be in an arms race. He wants to play his friend Tony Elliott in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
He wants his players to be student athletes. He wants it to be about not a professional league. He wants it to be college athletics. And by the way, Clemson does. I mean, the Board of Trustees on down, the president, everybody, the athletic director. But to compete at the highest level now, they are going to have what? Pour the resources in. And if you want to, is the ACC going to be the place to do that, or will it have a new name? Will it be a hybrid? Will it go half and half at some point? I just don't know how Wake Forest and Boston College and Pitt are all going to be a part of the same league moving forward as Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. I just don't know. North Carolina. I just don't know that happens in 5 years, whatever the rules are.
Debo's my age, in his mid-50s. He's not going to get out of coaching anytime soon, I don't think. But I think he would be a great ambassador and a guy that the NCAA or whomever runs college athletics could utilize to get some quality opinions on where these, not just football, but all athletics underneath the NCAA umbrella should go. But like I said, I don't think he's going to give up coaching anytime soon. All right, good stuff there with Smitty. We'll come back, hit recruiting. We'll do that next.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
In 2012, inside Clemson football's weight room, a different kind of barbell was developed. The Tsunami Bar is a flexible, oscillating bar designed to enhance high-intensity training while helping reduce joint stress. Unlike traditional rigid bars, it moves. That movement forces your stabilizer muscles to activate, your core to engage, and your body to produce force more efficiently. The result is improved strength, better balance, and more functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports continues to provide innovative, dynamic training solutions that empower individuals of all fitness levels to reach their peak potential. Whether you're training for general fitness, building resilience, or improving rotational strength for sports like golf, the Tsunami Bar challenges your body in ways traditional equipment cannot. Learn more at TsunamiBarSports.com.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, if we were in a normal situation where Seawell's was still offering the greatest daily lunch and buffet on the planet, and Josh ran through the daily lunch and buffet menu for a roast beef Friday tomorrow, that would actually take longer than the little nuggets of recruiting that we have here tonight. However, it is what it is. When Phil is away, we still find a way to get your recruiting brought to you by our good friends at Seawell's. Don't forget to check out the best in the catering business at SeawellsSCCatering.com. All right, VCU transfer infielder, this is baseball, Rex Smith has committed to Coastal Carolina per his social media. He did not appear during the 2026 season for VCU due to injury. Back in 2025 at Santa Fe College, the infielder batted .275 with 15 RBIs. If you thought Kevin Snall was done retooling the Gamecocks roster, think again. South Carolina, evidently one of the schools reportedly involved with Texas free agent infielder Callum Early. He did not have a hit hit in 5 at-bats with the Longhorns this past season, hence the reason he's obviously in the transfer portal. Meantime, in football, former Timberland wide receiver 2028 prospect Jordan Gorham arrived at IMG Academy today. He is a key target for both the Gamecocks and Tigers, and Furman has offered linebacker Malcolm Gordon of Bluffton. And that is the brief Phil flying over the Atlantic Ocean edition of Recruiting here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells, the best in the catering business. And check them out for anything you need. There we go. And I will gladly, that is one portion of the show, I'm not ashamed, I will gladly admit to turn it back over to Phil when he rejoins us tomorrow night.
You just like talking about Seawells. That's your favorite part of that segment.
There's no question. There's no question. I enjoy listening to Josh when we had a chance to have the daily luncheon buffet, which is no longer there.
My job is gone.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, quick note, and then we've got some comments we want to get to. You can tweet us. You can text us. You can also post your thoughts up on our YouTube page, wherever. But evidently, Smitty, when Dave Doran was talking today, he actually let it slip that it looks like in 2027 that the Tigers and Wolfpack will actually open the season.
Oh, I didn't get that bit of news. I'm glad you mentioned that.
According to the state newspaper today, Clemson does not have a non-conference game scheduled for Week 1 next year like it normally does. So the Tigers' 2027 season opener will be an ACC game. Hasn't been officially announced by the conference, but Dave Doran let the cat out of the bag today on the Triangle-based OG podcast. He said, quote, next year we open with Clemson, so we'll have back-to-back openers this way, because he's also referencing the game they're going to take on Virginia this year, which was originally scheduled for some reason to take place in Brazil.
Yep.
And Common Sense weighed in and said, that's ridiculous. Let's not play college football in South America.
So are you telling me that Clemson and NC State are not opening in Argentina next year?
It depends. Evidently, they're going to play. If Argentina wins the World Cup on Sunday, that's where they'll go. If not, they'll play in Madrid if Spain wins.
That's it. They're playing for the right to get the ACC opener next year. All right, let me get to this comment quickly. Fred sent a comment to us via YouTube. He said, this is back to your comment about Adam Randall. You said that Dabo Sweeney had said, let's bookend this. Dabo Sweeney had said prior to last season he thought Adam Randall would be like the biggest story in college football. And you said, Clemson's run game didn't work out. I said that as well. And then Dabo Sweeney himself said in the sit-down interview that we just did, you can find, by the way, on our YouTube channel, Sweeney said, we've got to get better running the football this year. Chad Morris, and he didn't throw Garrett Riley under the bus. But Fred said, I think Adam Randall was drafted by the NFL. That's successful to me. And I would agree, Fred. I think Adam Randall is a success overall. He just didn't get the ball enough.
Right.
And
no,
it's
that was
different.
the problem.
Being a prospect and being a good player is different than having a successful run game. That has to do with offensive line and play calling and everything else.
Clemson was 105th nationally last year in yards per game on the ground.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Only cooling down this evening to a low of 76. Tomorrow, blazing hot, 97 the high, a feels-like temperature approaching 104. It'll be a blend of sunshine and clouds for your Friday. For the weekend, mid-90s, nicer on Saturday, mostly sunshine-filled skies, while on Sunday, there's a 40% chance we get some showers. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
A national. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Authorities in Texas have rescued hundreds of stranded drivers and people trapped in homes, and at least 2 people have died due to catastrophic flooding. The region is still recovering from devastating floods a year ago. The governor said Thursday that the hardest hit areas are expecting more rain and are not out of danger yet. Heavy smoke from wildfires is darkening skies from the U.S. Midwest to the East Coast. The smoke on Thursday prompted warnings that breathing the air outside could be dangerous for people. The smoke is coming from fires that are burning primarily in Canada, but also in northern Minnesota. A National Weather Service meteorologist in Detroit says a lingering high-pressure system has trapped the smoke close to the ground. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat and Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Hey everybody, I'm David Jolly with South Carolina Insurance Brokers. I'm from Lexington. I live here, work here, play here. Ever feel like just a policy number with those big national insurance companies? It's time for a change. As your independent agent, I don't work for one big insurer. I work for you. I shop top carriers to find you the better coverage at a better price. Don't wait for a claim to see if your agent cares. Call me, David Jolly, at 803-380-8877 or visit scinsbrokers.com. When you think of insurance, I ask that you think of me, David Jolly.
When you've served the Midlands for more than 80 years, you're obviously doing something right. Groucho's Deli has 8 Midlands locations and for decades holds the title of Best Sandwich, Best Salad, Best Sweet Tea, Best Fast Lunch, Best Bang for Your Buck, Best Deli. Well, you get the idea. Order online at Grouchos.com and on the Grouchos app for fast, convenient, and friendly pickup. And sign up for the Grouchos Rewards and Birthday Brownie Club.
Discover the seamless blend of comfort and style with Lexington Discount Homes. With over 30 years of excellence in the housing industry, our focus is on delivering your dream home with unparalleled customer service. Explore a variety of designs tailored to meet any preference and budget. Drop by our showroom at 1847 Augusta Highway to witness the craftsmanship of a Lexington home firsthand, or explore online through a comprehensive virtual tour at lexingtondiscounthomes.com. Choose comfort, choose style, choose Lexington Discount Homes.
Back we are, Sports Talk Media Network on a fine Thursday evening. Don't forget, we'll wrap up our coverage of ACC Media Days. Smitty will be in Uptown Charlotte one more day tomorrow here on the program. And we'll get to hear from North Carolina tomorrow, right, Smitty?
Yes, indeed. Bill Belichick. We'll see how he does. He could bore a hyena usually, but we will find out if he has anything. He usually doesn't give the media. Everybody said he's got a great personality, those that know him closely, but he doesn't lay it out for the media too often. We'll find out how it goes tomorrow.
Think Jordan Hudson will make an appearance?
Jordan Hudson?
Mm-hmm. Belichick's girlfriend?
Oh, how... I'm sorry, I'm not up on my social media. Yes.
Think she'll be there?
This is a good question. Well, I'll be here, so we'll find out. I'll certainly notice. I will notice.
I would think she'd be the most popular person in the hotel.
Absolutely.
If she shows up.
Absolutely.
For sure. So, Smitty will have all that covered for us up on our website at sportstalksc.com, and then, of course, back here on the show tomorrow night throughout the evening. All right, don't forget to check out our poll question. Speaking of our social media sites at SC Sports Now, we will hear from James Franklin of Virginia Tech in just a little bit, but the poll question this week and every week presented by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance in Columbia and in Lexington. Multiple national analysts have put Shane Beamer on their hot seat list this summer. How many wins will it take to get him off? Right now, 42% of you saying 8 wins will be enough. 31% saying 7 will do it. And then identical 13.8%, 9 and 6. And you still have time to vote up on our Twitter page at SC Sports Now. We've given our opinions on that this week on the program. Speaking of which, though, CBSSports.com has done its own hot seat rating to all 136 FBS coaches. Ryan Beard probably a 0 on the hot seat as he goes into his first season at Coastal Carolina. Meantime, Clemson's Dabo Swinney has a 3.1 rating, which equates to pressure is mounting. You actually see that, Smitty? A guy who's got 2 national championships in his back pocket, multiple ACC titles?
No, I
don't either. I think that's ridiculous.
I don't personally. To me, the Dabo Swinney story currently is more closely aligned with the Nick Saban story, which is Coach Swinney going to tire of college football? Not is Clemson going to tire of Coach Swinney?
Interesting.
I just don't know that he has the appetite to continue to do this and all the change. And what will tomorrow bring? What storyline is coming out at SEC? What is the SEC commissioner going to say? The ACC commissioner said, we want 24 teams. We want Congress to step in. We want the 5-for-5 plan. Well, now the SEC commissioner is going to take the stage nationally next week and may say something completely different that ESPN will cover and changes the narrative in college football, and then Dabo Swinney will get those questions in 3 weeks. And I don't know that he wants to play that particular game of table tennis about where college football is heading for perpetuity.
Yeah.
I don't know that he wants to do that. And when I say that Clemson's not going to get tired of it, Clemson can get frustrated. They weren't good enough last year. But I think if I'm reading the room, I believe he has just elevated himself to a place that he is somewhat untouchable. I know that Clemson fans may get frustrated, but I don't think they're frustrated more like when you fight with your wife or argue with your wife, not like divorce. Divorce is real. Mm-hmm. I don't think that there's any chance that Dabo Swinney is on that kind of hot seat. I think the kind of hot seat he's under is just pressure.
Yeah. And I think part of it is his own doing because he realizes last year was not up to his standards. He wants to do better. And to give you some context from CBS Sports about where the panic lies, his rating last season was 0.2, which equates to the term you used, untouchable.
Yeah.
Meantime, South Carolina's Shane Beamer has a 4.3 rating, and that means you've got to start improving now. Last year, his rating was 1.1, and that's safe and secure. So it's amazing how quickly all that changes, according to CBS Sports.
And this changes week to week. We could do this weekly, Chris, because I brought up the story earlier today. Fran Brown goes to Syracuse, and I know that's someone you respect, and you kind of have, you wanted to buy Fran Brown stock. He goes from Georgia to Syracuse, takes that job, wins 10 games. Then he opens the season 3-1. Where do you think his stock was? What do you think his hot seat rating was at that point?
Yeah.
Then
0.
He loses his starting quarterback. They lose every game for the rest of the season, finish 3-9.
And it's his fault.
And it's his fault all of a sudden. So here
because
is someone,
his best player went down.
Right. They had to stop making the statue. Hold on, the statue. Hold on. Bring it down. So this changes so much. Where will this conversation be? And by the way, Clemson still has to decide on a quarterback. I know Chris Vizina is the starter. That's what Dabo Swinney said. But he says it with a comma. Chris Vizina is the starter, comma, but Tate Reynolds can push him, and I really like my quarterback room, et cetera, et cetera. Now, with that understanding, what if Chris Vizina is the starting quarterback but goes up against an LSU team that has got defensive stalwarts across the board and has a bad game? then what's his hot seat rating?
That's a great question.
You know, that's almost unfair, right? The starting quarterback for Clemson is going to be thrust into an unfair situation. And by the way, they'll be working with a coordinator for the first time in that game. Chad Morris takes over again. Chris Vizina's never worked with Chad Morris. Tay Reynolds has never worked with Chad Morris. And you're doing all of this against LSU. I don't know that quarterback is going to come out smelling like a rose out of that first week. And then you've got the whole quarterback discussion again in week 2.
Well, it's a fascinating point too. If he plays well and wins that game, obviously you have no questions, you have no debate. But as you pointed out, if they struggle on offense and Vizina doesn't look that good, don't give LSU credit defensively. It's all on the Clemson offense. So we got to make a change. But do you do that with Georgia Southern the next week? I'm not sure they'll know where they are with the quarterback until probably the trip out to California on September 25th, because you've got LSU, Georgia Southern, and then North Carolina. So you're really in a situation where you wonder, all right, let's assume you lose the LSU game, Vizina plays okay. Georgia Southern game, you win it, and he's okay. Then the North Carolina game, I think it'll probably determine whether or not he continues being the starter for them.
That's right, and that is why I asked Coach Sweeney today. And again, you can hear that conversation, the sit-down Coach Sweeney had with me here in Charlotte. You can find that on our YouTube page. That's why I asked him the question, could this go into the season? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know that until real bullets are flying, I think we can all agree on this, right? Coaches, observers, media members, just guys that played high school football, how do you make a decision on a quarterback until you really see them get punched in the mouth and how they react against real football teams? Yep. And I don't know that we'll have that answer. And to me, whomever gets that starting position, gets the starting nod for Clemson and gets some snaps against LSU, short of anything, short of a remarkable performance, I think you're going to have more questions moving forward, because that's just a very difficult spot to be a first-year starting quarterback.
Yeah. No question. I think it's Vizina regardless, because you pull the plug on him now and run Tate Reynolds out there to open up against LSU, I think you probably lost Vizina for the rest of his career. So I think they're in a situation, unless something were to happen, and we certainly never want that to happen, but unless something were to happen health-wise during fall camp, I think Vizina obviously is going to start the game against LSU, and then we'll see what happens after that. All right, we will hear from James Franklin in just a little bit, the head coach at Virginia Tech, making his first appearance with the Hokies at ACC Football Kickoff, 888-898-2525. But let's head off to the phones and visit with you on this Thursday evening as we welcome in Keith over in Camden. Keith, good evening. Welcome to Sports Talk.
Good evening. How y'all doing this evening?
We are doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm a Carolina fan, but I have the most respect for Dabo and the way he runs the program and how he's been willing to, over the years, when a difficult decision as far as replacing a coach, he's been willing to do that. But something that I'm kind of puzzled, I think he will be like Saban. He'll be able to leave on his own terms, but how much longer will he stay? Because I vaguely remember, and I may be wrong, that he said whenever we start paying players, that's when I'm done. But I may have that out of context. But the question is, how long will he stay in this current climate? But being a Carolina fan, it wouldn't break my heart if he decided to retire.
And you're right, Keith. He said that. Yeah. That's exactly what he said many, many years ago, and tried to change what he meant by that as he got called out on that. I wish he would just come out and said, look, that's how I felt back then. I've obviously been proven wrong, and move forward.
Well, I tell you, I think, I put a daughter through Clemson, and it's funny, I look back, I'd go to the bank every semester and say, write a check for Clemson. And they'd say, well, Mr. Stewart, you can just write that. I said, no, I can't either. Write me a check. But it's a great institution. Dabo's a great coach and a man of faith, and I respect him. But, look, I don't see it getting any better. I think a lot of them are going to have to say, well, is the money keeping me in it, or or do I stand for values and move on? But enjoy the show. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate the phone call. 888-898-2525. Smitty, it would be awfully hard, and I think his agent would tell him that as well. It'd be awfully hard to walk away from the amount of money Dabo is making to be the head coach at Clemson, but I'm sure it is not as fun for him as it once was when he took over and really had it rolling in the middle 20-teens.
No, or isn't it? I would imagine this time of year is not as much fun for Coach Sweeney, but as I said in our conversation with him today, you're about to be, pullover, ball cap, whistle, sneakers Dabo Sweeney, not sport coat Dabo Sweeney. Sport coat Dabo Sweeney has to answer questions about the NFL. Sport coat Dabo Sweeney has to go into the transfer portal and get a defensive back. But Coach Sweeney is just coaching ball between August and December. And I think that part of the game may still be fun for Dabo Sweeney. We'll find out. We'll find out if he's having as much fun this season. But I know last year he was having a ball, he said, even though there were struggles, even though it was tough at times. So what Keith said, he talked about the values for Coach Sweeney. He actually got that question first today at his press conference. So you can. We've also posted that at our Sports Talk SC YouTube. You can go catch that. He talks about being a man of faith and God's grace doesn't change, and that's his identity, not being a ball coach. But you also could make this argument for Dabo Sweeney staying in college football, and it is this. Nick Saban left, but he was already getting older. If you don't like where college football is headed, there's two choices to make. Yes, you can leave it, or you can stay and fight. And maybe Dabo Sweeney privately has decided, I'm going to stay and fight for college football. I'm going to be the voice that rings out and says, let's put some barriers here because discipline's still important. Rules have to be important. We have to adhere to a standard in college football. You can't just make it anarchy and the Wild West because that won't serve those student athletes who we're trying to get money to, trying to pay. It won't serve them well in the long run if it's anarchy. They need to understand life operates in systems, so college football must operate in a system. We've let the genie out of the bottle, but it doesn't mean it's over. It doesn't mean that college football can't be a great – I'll tell you what, I said it to you last year, Chris, on this very show. Man, tell me it wasn't fun last year, college football. Tell me we didn't have one of the greatest college football seasons we've ever seen. It's not wrecked. It's not ruined. It just needed to be loved on a little bit. Maybe Dabo Sweeney's one of the people that wants to stay in it and do it.
Get it back to the phones in just a quick second. Andy's on the line, but before we do that, it reminds me of the discussion we had a couple of nights ago about Major League Baseball. The product on the field could not be any better than it is currently with Major League Baseball. The only problem is the people running the sport are going to ruin it because we're probably headed towards a lockout, if not a full-fledged strike. I think you're in the same boat here with college football. The product on the field could not be any better than it is right now. Competitive games every Saturday, great postseason with the new playoff. I wish they wouldn't expand it anymore, but they will. But the problem is the NCAA can't manage it. The conferences can't agree to do anything. So the people actually running the sports, if you will, and I use running loosely because I'm not sure anybody's fully in charge, but I think is ruining the game, whereas the game itself is fine, just like Major League Baseball. Baseball is fine. It's the people in the front office that make it a mess.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And that's what has to happen, the adults in the room. And really this comes down to we know what the networks want. We want what the television networks want. We know what the players want. The players want to be compensated fairly. This comes down to the commissioners making sure that they can work together, that there's some alignment between the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and then all the group of 5 teams. And they don't have to all agree to go in the same direction. Maybe there is a world where the Power 4 breaks away, but then they have a choice to make with the group of 5 and say, well, now you have a choice to make about how you're going to operate, but we'll help you do that. It can be that, sometimes you just agree to disagree, and that's okay too. But what has to happen is there has to be clarity. We have to have visibility about what's coming next, and that's the job of the conference commissioners. That is why they get the big paychecks, because they have to be in rooms with each other and have these tough conversations and come up with a solution. They're brilliant people. They're academics. They've worked in athletics. They've heard all of this. They've heard us. They've heard what the coaches say. They've heard the chatter on by the fans and the boosters. Now, go fix it. That's your job. Go fix it.
Kind of reminds me of virtually every other legacy sport. We complain about NASCAR. We don't complain about the races. We complain about NASCAR, the company itself. We complain about Major League Baseball, the company itself, not the games on the field. Same thing here with college football. Let's head back to the phones one final time here on this Thursday and check in with Andy in Columbia. Good evening, Andy. You're up next here on Sports Talk.
Hello, Chris, Smitty, and Josh. Number one, a week of freedom sure does fly by very quickly.
He's back.
It's unbelievable.
Did you feel the disturbance in the force when he got back into American airspace a little bit earlier today?
I'm just still hoping that he's stuck in customs getting the complete examination for things that maybe he might be trying to smuggle, and will be unable to show up tomorrow because he's not able to sit down or be able to do such things. But, you're talking about conference commissioners. Their main job, Smitty, is to put as much money as they can inside their conference to each one of their teams. They don't care about any other conference. They don't care about anything else but how much money they can bring in. And, and another thing, Dabo, and he's not please don't take this to sound like he's the only one, but before there was pay for play, there was pay for play. And he was paying players just like every other coach, just like every other program. Clemson was no clean program. There's no clean program in football. All players were getting paid. It just depends on how much you were paying them. Remember Tennessee, they'd go through the McDonald's and instead of getting a bag full of Egg McMuffins, they got a bag full of bills. I mean, it happened at every program. So, for him to sit there and be so, mightier than thou that he's not going to pay, he's not going to do this, he was already doing it. And, like I said, it's not just Clemson. It was going on here in Columbia, and it's gone on at every major college program in the nation. But you gentlemen have a good evening, and unfortunately tomorrow we're going to have to start back over with the same direct that we've had for a while. But, we enjoy when we can enjoy. And I've enjoyed listening to y'all. And,
well, thank you.
Thank y'all for giving us such great coverage of the ACC Media Days there, Smitty. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, Smitty has done a terrific job. Appreciate that, Andy. And tomorrow should be a lot more fun. I'm really fascinated looking ahead to tomorrow. Obviously we wanted to hear here in the state what Dabo had to say, but we kind of heard what he had to say about the upcoming season on Tuesday. Basically, what you got today, Smitty, was almost a regurgitation of what he told us on Tuesday in their local media day, and that's fine. And Shane Beamer will have his local media gathering before he steps to the main stage next Thursday at SEC Media Days. But it's always fun to hear from some of the other schools that we don't cover on a permanent basis, like the Gamecocks and Tigers. I think North Carolina tomorrow is going to be a fascinating discussion. I mean, how good are the Tar Heels supposed to be? And if they're not any better than they were this past season, and they've got to be. I mean, they were just abysmal this past season. But if they're not, is this the last time you'll see Bill Belichick at ACC Media Days?
Where was he on that hot seat ranking that you had?
It's a good question. I'll pull that up while you peruse the thoughts of what happens.
Yeah, I wonder myself how good North Carolina is going to be, and will the way that North Carolina is trying to crack this particular egg, is this going to work? Because they're going with the Colorado model, where they transfer in, transfer out, and then things don't work, so they transfer in again. But without continuity, it's hard for a team to build any depth or cohesion. These are young players who are trying to learn the Bill Belichick way, who's been working in the NFL all these years, and they only have a few months at a time to do it, because if it doesn't work out, he'll move on and bring in another set of transfers. I don't know that that's the model that's going to work long. I know it's not going to work long term. I don't even know if it's going to work short term. And if it doesn't work short term, will Bill Belichick just get tired of this and just retire to Lake Norman because he just can't deal with whatever comes with college football and the losing? Here's the thing. Bill Belichick's been losing for a while. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady left and went to Tampa Bay. Ever since then, Bill Belichick was not doing great in New England, and then he takes the job at North Carolina, and it's an utter embarrassment. So I don't know how much fun he's having. If you look at his face, it doesn't look like he's having much fun, but he hasn't been winning a lot either.
Well, look that way when he won Super Bowls, too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's true. But it hasn't gone well for Bill Belichick post-Tom Brady. So you ask how good they're going to be, you have to show me. You would have to show me at North Carolina. I'm not going to pick them to win many games until I'm proven wrong. I don't think they've got the cards. Let me say it that way.
Well, I remember vividly tuning in. I can't remember if it was a Thursday. It had to be when North Carolina took on TCU to open up the season, and all the hype around that. The Kenan Stadium was packed and the whole 9 yards, and it was empty by early moments third quarter because TCU just came in there and ran roughshod over them, and they never recovered. They won 4 games last year, and to answer your question, Bill Belichick had a 4.1 hot seat rating out of 5 from CBS Sports, which means, obviously, if you've got a 5, you're out of a job. You're on the hottest of hot seats, so he's not far off that. So the backside of his seat is relatively warm heading into August.
And you know what? There's a part of me, look, I'm not anti-Bill Belichick or anything like that, but I am anti this. I was anti the sentiment and the narrative that he was going to come in and he was going to school the college coaches. You know what? These college coaches have been doing it a long time. They know football. They know the game. They were coaching on their level, and Bill Belichick did not come in and out X and O those guys. Quite the opposite happened. He's come in and said, well, I know what I want to do. I know what I'm going to do. Top-down organization. I did this with the Patriots. I'm going to do this with the Tar Heels. And he got to college football, and so far he's got his legs striped. And I don't hate seeing it. I wouldn't mind. Fine, I don't mind him being a part of college football. Maybe he'll make a comeback and things will start to go well there, but to be honest with you, I was kind of happy to see some of those college coaches humble him a little bit last year.
When you think about it, I wonder if there's some comparison to personality at the collegiate game, because you think of the guys who have been most successful coming from the NFL back to college football. Obviously, Steve Spurrier sort of had the boomerang effect, was terrific at Florida, went to Washington. It was a disaster there. He comes back and is, again, really good at South Carolina. Pete Carroll's another one. Now, Pete Carroll cheated his backside off before, everybody else, as Keith pointed out, could do it. I mean, with the teams he compiled, but you can't argue with the success. And those guys were flamboyant personalities, easy to talk to, always had a great quote. And then you have Bill Belichick, who looks like the Grinch that stole Christmas, and I just don't know that translates as well at the collegiate level.
Not so far it hasn't. And it's not as much fun. It's not as much fun being around Bill Belichick when they're 3-9 or whatever North Carolina was last year.
4-8.
4-8.
They get to 4 wins somehow. All right, Smitty, enjoyed it. We'll look forward to your coverage of the Tar Heels and everybody else tomorrow. Hope you'll join us tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.